All right, start this whole live stream here. Sean Amley, welcome. Thank you for jumping in. How's your week been? Angel, thank you for jumping in. One second to get George in here. Rasputin's Dick, what's up, Kurt? How you doing, man? You guys got a show booked? One moment, please. Technical difficulties, as is the beginning of every live stream. All right, Rasputin's Dick's got a show on the 28th. Break a leg, fellas. Hold on one moment. I'll try this one more time. All right. Why is he unable to join? Sorry, everybody. Hey, there he is.
How you doing, man?
Good, how are you? Hold on, I just gotta adjust my camera. All right, we got you. Thank you for jumping
Mike,
on with
right?
me here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks for inviting me.
No problem. Vulture Peak, thanks for joining. We'll get to you in a second, too. Cool, man. If you have questions for George, drop them in the chat and we'll read through them. And I'll just read something off the top real quick to introduce you, and then we can get into it.
All right.
Cool. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We appreciate it. We'll call you out as more people jump in. All right, cool. Hello and welcome to the Bellwether Ritual live stream, where we discuss music, the local Lehigh Valley PA scene, bands, social media, and more. Today is April 12th. My name is Mike, and I'm the vocalist. Yeah, is it 12th?
Was that?
Today's the 12th? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Yeah, it's the 12th.
Cool. It is from now on. My name is Mike. I'm the vocalist, guitarist of Bellwether Ritual. I hope you had a good week. We have a show coming up on May 13th at Jabberjaws in Allentown, PA, so we'd appreciate you coming out to that one. And we just released a single, so you can go check it out, link in bio. This week we have George, aka the Curry Donuts Kid. He books for Curry Donuts in Wilkes Barre, PA, and he plays in 3 bands: Vulture Peak, Decomposition, and Dower. And he's currently recording and mixing for new releases. We'll talk to him all about that and more. George, welcome to the stream. How are you doing, man?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good. Is there anything you want to plug right off the top that you have coming up?
We got a
or...
show at Curry tomorrow. It's got Doom Beach, Paramount, Love Supreme, and I keep forgetting it. Stars Burn Red. and then I'm playing a noise set at that one, and then
Cool.
Vulture Peak's playing a benefit on Friday down near Reading. I forget the exact time at the moment. There's like 8 bands on that one, but that's gonna be real
Nice.
sick. And more shows at Curry coming up also. We got like I think 2 more next week, and so on in May. It's nonstop at the moment.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. DJ Laurie, thank you for joining. Sorry if I butcher anyone's name in advance. If you have any questions for George, pop them down there and we'll get to them. Cool, man. You got like a whole bunch of different things going. I know you did shirts for a while. You went on tour, all that kind of stuff. Can you just maybe do a quick band rundown and the differences between them?
Uh, Decomposition's kind of like funky rock and
Yeah.
roll, punk all over the place. Never playing the right notes. Vulture Peak kind of like post-hardcore and noise and some really complicated stuff, but so much fun playing it.
Hmm.
And then Dower's very like sludgy and
Hmm.
doomy. Very on like that whole page, I guess. Like the stoner rock side.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. Are you from the area originally, or did you move in from somewhere else?
Yeah, my whole life I've lived here.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was there a thing like when you were a kid that was like a pivotal moment to like get you into music or
I found Kiss in like kindergarten. Then like Alice Cooper and that. It's like that like I guess really got me like into music.
Yeah, yeah.
Growing up there was a lot of cool venues in the area and that, so like getting to see bands that I never thought I could see, bands like the River City Rebels or that, or like the Get Up Kids.
Hmm.
Um
That's
and
cool.
then the music scene when I was like in my early 20s and that locally was really awesome. That's actually where like I discovered Vulture Peak and that, and like thought they were like a really sick band.
Hmm.
Oh, my cat's joining.
Cool. What's your cat's name?
That one's Daryl. I got like 4 of them.
Cool. Shout out to Daryl. uh, Brian Revive, thank you for joining. We appreciate that.
I was
Um,
just hanging out with
oh, cool.
him.
Cool. Yeah, any questions? Drop them on in the comments, and we'll get to them. So Kiss, was it like something that your parents were into, or did you find it like I don't know,
Yeah,
like
my
a
parents were in, like Kiss and Van Halen, Hagar,
mm-hmm,
Alice, AC/DC, all that stuff. And like at a young age, I saw Kiss and was just like, "Oh, this is so cool."
mm-hmm.
Then they took me to go see them. I think I was in like first grade or
Oh
something. I know it
wow,
was
that's
the
cool.
Psycho Circus tour,
Yeah,
so I don't know. It was just like I was sold. I was like, "That's the coolest thing in the world."
yeah. Do you like face paint or anything for any of your bands?
No,
Uh,
no, not at all. I did
Maybe
try to
next
convince
time.
the competition. Like I was like, "Yo, we should do a Kiss night." I wanted to get our drummer to come out like Peter Criss, like the
Yeah,
towel and everything,
yeah.
sing bass, but he wasn't feeling it.
It's a fine line, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So then you kind of got like, I mean, you kind of started, um, so let me just look here. You basically kind of came in the backwards as far as playing goes, right? So you were like booking shows and doing that sort of thing, and then got taken out on tour, and then ended up playing bass.
Yeah, I noodled around a little bit with basses when I was younger. Like I always thought they were kind of cool, but I really didn't get too into playing them. I never like had anybody to jam with or that to like have fun with.
Hmm.
I started doing shirts for Black Dime. I was actually like doing shirts for myself, just like random screen
Hmm.
prints. And then I did Black Diamond shirts, and it opened me into like doing other band shirts. Through that, I kind of started playing with decomposition a little bit, and then Dower took me on tour, and that's why I started hanging out with them a lot and like just going to their practices all the time, stuff like
Hmm.
that. So I yeah, just started playing more and more. I feel like going to Vulture Peak was a huge learning for me. Like it went from just like messing around on bass to like actually like really learning how to play the instrument like kind of properly and like what I'm supposed to be playing. And
Yeah.
I feel like that was a huge help for me, honestly. And
Oh, that's cool.
now I feel like so much better playing like Dower and that too. Like I'm just like confident playing with them. So
Hmm.
it's like really cool. Like yeah, and like with the booking, somebody else was actually booking the shows originally. They did it for I think like 2 years. They moved away to college, and they went to Philly, so we just bought a PA. Actually, well, I bought the PA, and then learned how to do sound like on the go.
Yeah,
It was just like, oh, here, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you guys help me.
yeah. I think that's great though. Like you just kind of you have faith that you'll figure it out and learn it and make it work. Like that's the most important part.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
You just gotta try stuff.
Yeah. So did you get like for like your bass playing? I started out as a bass player too. Um, and did you like coming into Vulture Peak? Did they like how does that work? Is there someone who writes and you're like just kind of trying to learn everything, or how does that
Rob and
work for?
Jeff have been doing it for years together, so like stepping in the room with them, it's like trying to learn like their language, I guess we could say, like how they
Yeah,
communicate with each other. And there was definitely moments where Rob had to just be like, "This is the notes," and I was like, "Okay," like all right, and like we still do that sometimes. Like there's certain stuff where I'm like, "What the hell are you playing right now?" Like, and then
yeah.
like once I figure it out, like, and then I'll try to add, I guess like when we're like jamming or that, I'll try to add like a random little thing there, and hopefully it sticks or we do something with it. And
Hmm.
I feel like that's a lot with like all the bands I've played with. It's very just like everybody plays riffs, and then we're just like, all right, that one's cool. Let's use like that for something or do something with it, which is always fun.
So it's a lot of born from the jam kind of stuff, you think?
Yeah, I,
Yeah,
with those two, they just, I don't know, they come up with stuff just on the fly,
yeah.
nonstop.
I know it's awesome when you get to that level. It's so cool. Idle Existence, thank you for joining. Daniel Davidowitz, thank you for joining. Sexual Pizza, thank you for joining. Says fuck yeah, George. Yeah, very cool. So did you like have like how did you get up to speed? Did you have like a practice schedule like you were trying to keep up, or is it just like listening and playing all the time?
uh, That's one thing I love with Dower and Vulture because like we try to get together on like a weekly basis. Life, comes and happens for everybody, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
sometimes we don't get you, but we like try to do like what like weekly. So like
Hmm.
having that really helps a ton. And then I just sit at home playing songs nonstop, like to the point where like I would turn off like the Bandcamp files or things like that and just like start playing them by memory like the best I could until I got to that point where I was like happy with them.
Hmm.
And then like before shows and that, cause I'd be like all freaking out for a day or two, I would just like stand in my room playing them nonstop over and over. A
Yeah.
lot of just all the time.
Yeah. Michelle Listing, thank you for joining. Sean Amley Tattoo says, totally get it, George. I do endorphin dump writing, so yep. Uh, um, cool. So what do you try like when you are looking for trying to figure out your parts and learning all that stuff? Do they like just everyone just kind of break it down real slow and go step by step, and then you look for what you can add on top of that?
Back and forth with that. I'm starting to learn now that I'm like getting more confident with playing.
Hmm.
I'm starting to learn how like to throw in an octave or something like that, like
Hmm.
different, and just like try it and see how it sounds. If we're all happy with it, I'll be like, all right, sweet, we can do that thing. Um, but a lot of like, especially with Vulture Peak, it was like, I want to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I gotta learn the exact notes, like I know I'm playing the right thing.
Yeah.
Dower definitely, I feel like there's a little bit more of that because it's like the sludgier stuff. Like I have that, I guess, freedom to just like play around while they're soloing or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, with Vulture Peak, I'm getting there now where like I want to just add little flares and things like that and try stuff and hope it works.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what we do too. It's like someone might come in with an idea or something, and then everyone throws everything against the wall and see what sticks.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Gabriel Glenbell, thank you for joining. All right, so you had curry donuts kind of like as you're growing up as part of the family.
Yeah, yeah. Since I was born, it's always been there. It was way before me. I believe '78 was when they opened it.
Oh,
My
very
mom
cool.
told me to come in here yelling at me and be like, "It was this year." Um, But yeah, 78 they opened, I believe, and it's been there like my entire life. My mom pretty much runs it, like well, runs it. I'm the donut baker. My
Oh,
sister
cool.
works there. My girlfriend works there. pretty much just like a, family business.
Very cool. Faux serious, thank you for joining. If you have questions for George, drop them in the old comment section and we'll get to them. So at what point were you like, this would be an awesome venue? Because I got to say, there's a hot dog shop in my hometown of Bethlehem that we're like trying to like, hey, what do you think if we come set up and just like crank a few tunes out and probably bring some people out for some hot dogs? But yeah, where did that come about? Like, was it just?
I mean, them having shows well, when it was a bunch, like when I was saying a couple people were like running shows already,
Mhm.
it was always like a good turnout, good time for everybody. There's not much to do around here, so it was just like seeing people come out and have a good time. It was kind of like, here's a place to do it. That was especially for me booking. I have bands constantly ask like, hey, could we come play there? And I'm like, they're kind of donation shows a lot of times because
Mhm.
like it's just this little donut shop.
Yeah.
And like pretty much if you want to play, you're more than welcome. Like definitely, and like just like giving people a spot, I guess we could say, to play. Um, then we have like skate jams sometimes, so like BMX
Oh.
jams, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So yeah, pretty much just like a spot to do stuff. We got a parking lot and a PA, so might as well have some fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Gabriel says, "Love you, George. You're the coolest." Um, can you ask George when the next time we can jam bass tones in the baking room?
Whenever, I'm always down. That's what decomposition. That was our practice space. Was we would just go in the kitchen after closing and practice there all the time.
Oh, cool. All right. Yeah. I think at first you came on my radar. There's a band. I think they're called Fistula out of Ohio, and
Awesome, dude.
yeah, right. I just saw they were booked at a donut shop, and I was like, "What is going on here?" And then when I clicked on it, I was like, "This is crazy." Yeah. How'd that
The
one? Yeah, go ahead.
the first hour tour, we actually slept over the bass player's
Oh,
house. One
cool.
of the nights of the tour. Real awesome people. Love them to death.
Mhm.
Real good guys.
Very cool. Yeah, that was kind of. Is there like actually Ohio's kind of like a hot spot now. We had Rasputin's Dick on maybe like 2 weeks ago. They're a band out of Canton, and it seems to be like I don't know, it seems to be popping up out there. What do you look for when it comes to like bass tones? Do you have any like specific things you're trying, like roles you're trying to fill with that?
I like fuzz a lot.
All right,
I
cool.
love
Yeah,
fuzz.
yeah.
I'm starting though to phasers. I'm loving phasers right now. I just like found this setting where like it sounds kind of like an air raid horn, and I think it's
Hmm.
the coolest thing in the world. Stuff like that. I love noise, like just like doing things I guess you shouldn't be doing with your guitars and
Yeah,
basses, and
yeah,
just
yeah,
oh, that's always fun to me. So anything that sounds harsh and horrible.
yeah. Do you know the band Rubik's Cube?
Yeah, they
Yeah,
actually
cool.
played Curry
Yeah.
a little bit
Oh,
ago.
very cool.
They
Yeah,
were they were a fun time.
yeah. Entertaining for sure. So what is Vulture Peak recording right now? You said you're in the recording and mixing process?
Yeah, I believe it's our next release as like a whole. I believe it's gonna be like 7 songs altogether. Um, we got them pretty much. Like, well, we got the majority of the tracks recorded. Rob's been mixing them. They sound amazing. I can't wait to like actually like release it and like do stuff with it. But like, I
Cool.
mean, like we're still playing around with stuff on it,
And
so
where
I don't
did
know
you record?
my dates or anything yet.
Mhm. Did you record like did you go to studio or you just are you set up like at home?
We actually did it all in Rob's
Yeah,
basement, which
that's the way we go too.
yeah, which I was happy. But that's actually with the dower room right now. I'm like, since we just changed rooms, I'm setting up my like one of my old interfaces and getting my cables ready and like foam in the room. Cause I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
let's do it in here too. Like this way we don't have to like go anywhere.
Cool. Sexual Pizza asks, want to know if there's ever going to be a Son of a Shepherd release.
There's a bunch on Bandcamp. Like it was single tracks or live sets, stuff like stuff like that. But that'll probably be like the extent of it, really.
Cool. Do you like when you're releasing music, are you guys recording like a bunch of songs and releasing it as an album, or do you just throwing singles out there as you record them?
So with when I did decomposition stuff, we did the first one I believe was 6 songs altogether.
Hmm.
Um, then we did singles after that, just because like we were recording them like that.
Yeah.
Um, the first Vulture Peak release I was on, it was a split with LMI,
Yeah, I
so
saw
like that was
that.
one.
Yeah.
And then the new one's gonna be like our release, which is the 7 tracks I believe, and then uh the Dower one we did. The only one I've been on so far is the Locked in the Basement sessions, which we just did like last weekend, well 2 weekends
Hmm.
ago now. Which was a fun time because it was like playing a set live pretty much, and none of those songs have been released yet. There's 3 on that. I think it's like 15 minutes, or 14 something. So
I know
however
there's,
we do it,
yeah,
you know.
yeah. Sean Amley says, get a bass synth. Have you ever screwed around with like bass synths or anything like that?
I just bought a synthesizer
Mm.
off of one of my good friends, and I'm having some fun with that, with the pitch shifter
Hmm.
and just making weird noises. I do
Yeah,
want to get MIDI foot pedals for it, so I could play bass and do the foot pedals at the same
yeah,
time.
that's
I
cool.
think that would be fun.
Oh, is there like a certain thing you look for in your like when you're looking for something noisy? Like you're just looking for like a tone generator that you can like kind of shape and bend, or
It
just something
always
that's
changes. Like always, right now actually, I just built a pedal kind of. Well, I took a reverb tank out of a guitar amp, and
oh
I'm running
cool.
that into an overdrive, and then running some effects and just like slamming around with the springs. But I've been also doing stuff with like I have a portable record player. It's got like a cassette player also, so
Hmm.
I'll be like scratching records and stuff too.
Oh,
Anything that adds weird, different noises and stuff, just like fooling around. It's kind of like when I do play sets for that, it's like until I get bored, kind of, and then I'm like, all right, I'm done now.
it's a good way to go about it.
Yeah.
Brian Revived asks, when are you going to start a curry label? That's a good question.
When he like does some more of his Suskin song stuff, me and him actually a few years back recorded stuff like right in my bedroom. Like first time I got an interface, he wanted to record songs. So I'm like, let's do these.
Yeah.
And then he's always like spooked on releasing them. So I'm like, come on, let's put these songs out there.
Yeah. As long as I think people are like really like as long as they see you getting better, like they'll be into it. I think
Oh yeah.
it doesn't really matter. Yeah. That's the big thing. Not how good is it, like it, that you're getting better as you go. Um, Jake the Snake, thanks for joining. Michelle Listing, thank you for the follow. And a pocket knife, thank you for joining. All right, let's see. What was your first interface? Just curious. What'd you start on?
Uh, did you design 003?
Oh, okay, yeah.
I got it off actually the guy that Dower used to be renting their practice space from. So I was like hanging out there all the time. When he would be recording, I'd just like sneak in and just like learn stuff from him and like watching that.
That's the way to
So
do
he
it.
sold me that, and then yeah, then he sold me an X18, and that thing is just like I love it. I use it for every Curry show actually because I can just like hook up the tablet to it. I can like
Yeah,
to anywhere in the room or like move wherever I want and just like do levels, which like I love that so much.
yeah,
I
that is
started
great.
with an analog mixer for doing the shows, so I was like standing in one spot and like running over to hear it or stuff like that.
Yeah. So we just bought like a just like for monitors to run out, and I had an old analog board, and I forget who I was talking to, but they're like, just move to the digital one and use the one that exactly what the one you said. It just makes such a big difference. So we're considering that right now too. So it's good to hear you say that. So you're kind of like a gear guy if you're pulling stuff apart, right?
A little bit. I just play with it sometimes and try to
Hmm.
learn. I've definitely broken some things trying to learn, but I mean that's
Yeah,
part of it.
yeah,
Sometimes you mess up.
yeah.
Trying to learn a little bit about like building like actual pedals now and just like even if I want to add like a kill switch to a pedal I have that doesn't, like just stuff like that. And definitely want to learn how to like fix heads in that because they're expensive and
Yeah, they are.
it sucks when they break or that. So
Yeah, that shit's dangerous, so you gotta watch.
yeah, I ran to
Yeah.
electrocute myself.
Yeah, really. Jess Locks, thanks for joining. Any more questions for George? Just drop them in. Do you want to take a second to plug anything like or replug anything that you got going on?
Anybody that wasn't here, there's a show at Curry tomorrow night, and I know most of you are around, so come hang out. There's Vulture Peak playing down near Reading on Friday. It's gonna be a good time, but it's also a drive, so I know some of the local people won't be able to make it. And then Brian's actually playing the Curry show on the 24th, so that's I think like what 2 weeks away.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
You know he's on that one, so I know he'll be there. And then we got May coming up, so it'll be a good time.
Very cool. Giant Philosopher, thank you for joining, buddy. All right. Gabriel said he's actually off, so he'll see.
Oh, Gaby baby.
Very cool. So you went on tour. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? Like, have you been out a bunch of times so far,
I did.
or is it?
Sorry. Oh, I did 2 times with Dower. The first one was I think 2017. It was either 2017 or 18.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest, barely like knew the guys that well before like getting in the van or that. I was making shirts for them for it, and they asked me to go. It was a 3-day tour altogether, and it was blast. Like had a bunch of good times. The first night, some guy came in the bar. It was like right after their set. And they kind of got like shuffled off the stage. So they're outside talking about it and that, and some guy came over and spilled like his martini all over the merch, and I was just like, oh, man, like what do I do? Like, I didn't know anything. And this massive man from like another band comes up and he's just like, did that guy spill drinks on that? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like chasing the guy out the building, making him give me money. I was like, oh my god, it's so weird. And like the whole time, I'm like, where'd the band go? Like, they just leave me here, like Erie. Like, am I just like stuck here? But then the second tour was a week long, and that was a great time because at that time I was like real good friends with everybody, and it was just like real wholesome and fun and awesome.
Cool.
Good time all around.
So did you end up charging the guy? That's what I would have said. You just got to pay for him. That's all.
The guy ended up giving me I think $40.
Okay.
So I honestly I'm like, dude, here at least take one of them. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Take cool. Something. And then he called the guy an asshole on the way out, like the guy that went like following him. And like that guy looked at like all of the people doing merch, was like, did he call me an asshole? And we're like, yeah. And he's just like, oh, like absorbing out. We're like, oh no, like it was a spooky day, but now looking back on it, it's pretty funny.
Giant Philosopher has a question. He says, I get anxiety about driving out to places. Do you get anxiety over touring? Any advice for it? Great question. Thanks, Johnny.
I hate long car drives. I've never had to drive on like a tour yet. I've driven for shows. Like usually, like, me and my girlfriend will be going and like meeting everybody down there, and I definitely get anxious on the highway. Like I'm just like I just want to get off this highway and chill, relax. Like, but other than that, I don't know. I just do it. Just like jump in and go. Tour, the first one was a little bit spooky at first, but once we were on the road and I was having a good time and everybody was real awesome, so I had no complaints at all. The group, I feel like anytime I surround myself with, they're always like real good people, so like they make it very bearable.
There you go. I think that was the people I asked that question, it always seems to come back with like, yeah, we get along first and foremost, and that really helps.
Yeah, that's like the most important part.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not getting along with everybody, it's not going to work out too well.
Real quick. Yeah. So was it like were you touring into which direction did you go, and like how did you end up planning it as well?
So Chad did the planning. Chad from Dower did the planning on both the tours.
Okay.
He's the networking guy with Dower and just hits people up. He's like, "Hey, you got a show? Like, try to get on something." The first one we went to Erie, then we went
Oh, cool.
to Ohio, and then Pittsburgh, and then came back home. And then the second one we did like mostly like New York. We went to Boston. I mean, not Boston, Salem one night.
Mm.
Worcester. I always say it wrong. I know that's in.
Lista, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we were up there too.
Yeah.
That was a fun one. That one ended at the Jersey. I can't think of it at the moment. It's like under the street. Oh, I can't think of the name at the moment. It'll come to me at some point. I'll just yell it
Yeah, yeah,
out.
yeah, that's cool.
The Meat Locker. There we go. The
There
Meat
you go,
Locker.
yeah. A Salvaggio, thank you for joining. Any questions for George, you can drop them right in the old comment section. Um, so how do you get what are you looking for? Are you just looking for outlets for different parts, like as you write music? Like if it's noisier, then you're gonna go with decomposition, or if it's, more in the vein of Ultra Peak, like are you
You just
writing
like jam with them.
what's that?
Yeah, just like jam with them, and like
Hmm.
whatever happens with
Yeah.
them. Like each band has their own like different, I guess, like approaches and stuff. Chad does a lot of writing for Dower. Same with Billy and Vinny. Like they just start coming up with these riffs, and then Chris, as soon as he hears them, he just starts drumming away. Like he knows what to do, like
Yeah,
instantly. Um, Decomposition was definitely more, I feel like me and Cody bouncing just like riffs off of each other and then being like, all right, we'll play this or we'll play that. And then like with Voltron, I was saying, like the two of them, they just start running stuff and I'm just like, wait, what are you guys doing right now? Like, I need to learn this quick. And I've noticed I've definitely been getting quicker on getting up to speed with things.
that's cool.
At first it was spooky, I won't lie.
I had a question that I wanted to write down. I just forgot it. Um, oh, do you do you do anything visually, like for a stage show? We've been talking about this recently, trying to figure out like some kind of way to pull some kind of visual element into it, or I don't know, like just move around more on stage or anything like that. Is there any of the bands that you consider? Yeah,
I'm trying to learn that. I'm trying to learn how to move because I'm
it's hard,
mostly
man.
like
Yeah,
a
yeah,
wooden plank. I just like stare at my drummer and play my bass.
yeah.
But I'm getting a little bit better at that. I love low light or no light.
Me too.
Um, yeah, that's just fun. It's a lot of fun. One of
That's a
the
big
shows
one
with
for
Vulture
me.
Peak I did, they like right when we started the song, Rob hit this light switch and like it went from pitch black to just like these spotlights on like drums and that like the amps pretty much like just like the back area. And, like, it was so cool. It was like the neatest thing. The timing was perfect. I was like, oh, that was awesome. At Curry, we have this guy John, and he just tries to help as much as he could. And he bought a whole like lighting rig, and he bought fog machine and that, and like
Oh,
he brought
wow.
him down the first night. He's like setting it up. We were all kind of like, this is gonna be weird. Like what? I don't know, cause like I don't know. Usually just like we have the light out on the building on, and as as like the lights went off and that it looked so cool. It was awesome. So like I'm always just like, yeah, John, come. Like if you want to set up lights, sure, man. Like do
Come
it
on
up.
down. Yeah, yeah. Tom Keynes, thanks for joining. Um, okay, so let's see what else. Are you looking? Johnny's got another question here. Cheap ways to spice it up, glow in the dark stuff. Oh yeah, that's a good point. You can
Yeah,
always
that's
break
a
that
good
stuff
idea.
out there. Yeah. Yeah, we were trying to figure out ways like, okay, because I play and sing at the same time, so I don't have a whole lot of range of motion anyway. I feel like I'm kind of tied to the mic. But if there were any, trying to put those little breaks in places too, where you can kind of get away from that and then figure out what to do there. So that's stuff we always just try to like get more comfortable with, and I don't know, try to talk like different ways we can do things like that. Let's see here. So, what are you planning to go back out on tour anytime soon with any of the bands?
I'm hoping. I really am because it's always a good time.
Hmm.
I don't really know at the moment like what everybody's schedules. I know I have somebody asking me to go up north right now. Like they're playing Curry the 22nd, and when we were like booking that, they're like, "When can you come up here?" And I'm like, "I'll try to figure it out." Like,
That's what it is, yeah. Um, and then you said you started with. I actually wanted to ask you about shirts. So were you like screen printing? Like how'd you start, and like what was the technique that we're using? Do you like a print machine now?
so my friend was working at a screen printing shop. I kind of wanted to make my shirts myself. Me and him went half on a printing press, which is the same printing press I still have.
Oh, cool.
It's a four color, four station,
Oh,
and yeah, I just
nice.
learned how to start printing. He kind of taught me like 1 or 2 days, and then it was kind of just like up to me to like figure it out.
Hmm.
So I kind of learned by messing stuff up and being like,
Yeah.
okay, don't do that again. Um, and then yeah, I started making like a handful of like designs for myself, and then once somebody catches wind you got a printing press, everybody's like, hey, make me shirts, make me shirts. So I started
Like
just taking a
certainly.
ton of orders, and I pretty much learned how to print by just doing band shirts and then
Yeah.
trying to make sure they were able to like still sell them and stuff. Like I only did them for like $5 because I was like, you guys can't sell them for like $20. Like I know that, so like want to make it like
Yeah.
reasonable and stuff.
Do you have a sweet spot price wise?
Usually 5, 6. That was like
Five.
my sweet spot. Yeah.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, very affordable. Uh, so so you basically grew up in the family business, right? Do you think like that's what gave you some of your like I'll figure this out, kind of go make it happen attitude?
Yeah, no, definitely. Not even, like both my grandparents were like hardworking people, but same with my
Hmm.
parents, like super hardworking. My dad was a hot rod builder too, so like
Oh,
he
cool.
just come up with an idea and it was like magic. Like the dude was like a magician and he'd make it
Hmm.
work. He actually built like a him and his friends built it, but it's a coffin car, like kind of like in the Munsters. They
Yeah,
built it from
yeah.
the ground up,
Oh,
but
wow.
he was like shoving a motor in something that shouldn't fit in. He was just like, oh, I'm figuring it out. I'm gonna do it. So like just watching him growing up and like learning from him, like seeing that happen, I was like, all right, if you want to do something, you just gotta figure it out and do it. Like that's all there's really to it.
Yeah. So are you into cars too then, or is it like
Yeah,
something?
not as much, but I definitely do love them. When I was a little kid, I used to be like the encyclopedia. Like I'd just be like, oh, that car, like know them
Oh,
all. But
yeah.
then once I
Just
like
rattle them off.
hit my teenage years, I like discovered skateboarding and
Oh,
started
okay.
finding music and girls, all that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. All the other distractions for sure, yeah. Um, damn it, I had another question for you written down. I can't find it now. Um, where was it? Mm. Do you use a computer at all, like for maybe more on the noise side of things? Like, how do you incorporate that in there at all?
With noise, the only thing I've done so far with computer was I did buy a MIDI keyboard at one point, so like running samples and stuff like that. I was doing that. I think it was like Magix or something. Um,
Hmm.
and then usually, I mean, I will like record into my computer, but I did do one Son of a Shepherd release where I like was layering vinyl tracks on top of each other
Oh,
and
cool.
like doing some stuff with that. Um, but not too much, just a little bit. I haven't like played around enough yet with it.
Hmm.
I probably have a blast, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. It's weird. It's like I feel like technology has really caught up recently, and there's a lot of really cool things you can do now. Um, by yourself or with other people. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I was kind of sleeping on it for a while, but I've definitely turned converted recently. Um, do you? What's your guitar tunings like? Are you in standard? Do you like drop or anything?
Uh, Everything in decomposition was just standard.
Hmm.
Vulture Peak, it was originally drop D, the stuff I was learning. Now everything we're doing is in B at the moment.
B,
And
yeah.
then with Downfall, Yeah, B, and well,
Hmm.
for me, I'm playing a five string, so it's
Okay,
in
cool.
I guess standard. And then with Dower, we were originally in C when I joined the band, but now we're doing B as well. So it's kind of
Oh,
nice. I
okay.
get to take one bass with me instead of two every like week.
Yeah, actually, I don't think we touched on that at all. Like, what bass are you playing? You're playing five string. I have a um, Stingray five string that I've had forever.
Is it
Yeah.
a Sterling?
Um,
Or is it actually like Ernie Ball? Oh, you're gonna make me
no,
drool.
it's Ernie Ball, but oh man, I bought it used, and when I first got it, I put the strap on and I fucking dropped it like right away. And I was like, oh no, but it's built like a tank, man. So it really, you can't, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a chip in the paint, but yeah, and I've had that thing for, I don't know, 10 plus years. And that's kind of been my recording base ever since I switched to guitar at one point. But man, that thing's been awesome.
That's right now I'm playing a five string Sterling sub. Uh,
Oh, yeah, same thing.
yeah,
Yeah, very
I
cool.
love it. All around good thing. Whenever I'm playing a floor string, it's usually my Kramer V. It's
Hmm.
like an old, I think it's a 82 or 83 with the aluminum neck on
Oh,
it. I
oh,
love that
wow. Okay.
thing. Yeah, I have like a weird obsession with those. I have like three aluminum necks with the pitchfork, and then I have a headless aluminum neck also. So I think they're like real neat and cool. So I'm like, oh, I gotta
Yeah.
have as many as I can get.
Wow.
But yeah, those are like my mains.
So the V body, I want to buy a guitar that's kind of like a Firebird body. So I say oddball bodies, but like the V, did it take a while to get used to? Are you pretty much standing the whole time?
At first, I was a little like weirded out by it, but the first time I sat down and like set the middle of the V on my leg, I was just like, oh, this
Mm.
is like really comfy, like that, like I guess classical style where it's like up
Yeah,
in the air.
yeah.
It's so comfy to sit there and play. That's what probably one of my go-tos for like when I'm sitting like around the house to play. Like I was like, all right, pull this one out. So yeah, I do love that one for that. Even standing playing it, I noticed I'd normally like kind of like wedge it in my legs still.
Oh,
And like it's still
okay.
like very comfy to play standing, which like I thought was gonna be weird at first because it's just an awkward shape. But yeah, I do dig
Yeah, yeah. I don't
it.
think I've ever played a V actually. So how'd you get into? I just want to. Soup Raccoon, thanks for joining, and Typhoid Rosie, thanks for joining. If you have any questions for George, you can drop them in the comment section. What got you into aluminum next? Were you able to play one at one point? Like this is amazing, or how's that work?
No, I actually just like so the first bass I like bought myself was a Kramer,
Oh,
but it
okay.
was an '80s the pointy neck, and I enjoyed it, but I was like I started to see the other stuff, and once I like saw those aluminum necks, I was like, oh, these things are so cool. Um, And then I started learning about like all the cool bands that have them, and I was like, every time I see those like bands on a TV or them, it's like, look at their gear, it's so sick.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
then I bought one, and as soon as I played the one I bought, which I just like blindly bought it on Reverb, like ordered it, and the day came, I played it, I was like, this is so awesome, and just have been going after those since.
yeah. Actually, I'm debating right now. I don't really normally ever buy a guitar just on a risk or not having played it before, but I think I might actually try that this time and just see what happens. But yeah. So you're just like, this looks amazing. I just want to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then
that's kind
after
of
that, all the others like or like Brian, who I don't know if he's still in here, but he bought the V and he bought the Stage Master I have and then sold them to me. The Stage Master I actually at one point he was like, can I buy it back? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, you want to buy it back? I'm like, yeah, give it back. And now he's like, sell it again. I'm like, no, now it's mine. Like it's staying here.
yeah. That's the great thing about gear. When you find other gear people, like you're like, oh, let me try this. What's this like? What do you want for it? All that great stuff. Very cool. And two with the headless, like, was that like a little bit of a learning curve? Like, I feel like it was just kind of, it seems like to be relatively normal, but just the visual of it is a little different.
It was kind of awkward at first, like the first few times I played it. I actually loved it for a little bit, and then I went to one practice. I think it was with decomposition, and I was playing it, and I just hated the way it sounded that night. And
Uh,
like since it's been like my go-to noise base.
Oh,
Like I'll pull that out when I want to kind of be rough with something.
yeah.
But yeah, I just played it that one time. I was like, I don't know about this anymore.
And then they hold up well. Like you don't have to worry about them. Like they have better like stability, tuning wise, and all that stuff, right?
So that was something I was spooked about. Was a lot of people complain that like bringing them out from the cold into the warm or something like that, with it being
Hmm.
aluminum and it just shifting a bunch, the tuning will be like a pain. But all of mine have had like pretty good luck so far. I
Oh,
haven't really had to tune too much.
I
Um,
heard. I thought it was the opposite, where it won't. It'll just stay how it is. I never. Yeah.
I know they don't bow as much, but I have heard that the bases will start to bow. Like if you leave them
Oh,
in
okay.
tune for like too long, they'll start bow. And there's
Oh,
no truss rods on them, so like once it
yeah.
like does bow,
Exactly.
you're screwed pretty much.
Time for a new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good excuse to yeah get something new. Uh, is there any, or do you have like your eye on any new kind of upcoming pieces of gear?
I'm always looking at pedals. Uh, I just recently found the Death by Audio stuff and got one, and
Mm,
I'm in love with it, so I want more of that.
hmm.
I really love Earthquaker stuff, so I'm always just like, when
Oh
do I have that
yeah.
little bit extra money to buy one? So yeah, I'm
Hmm.
always looking. Always just like fooling around what I have too, because I have these. I think they're the Hotone X Tomps, but they're like emulator pedals, and they run on Bluetooth, and
Mm.
they have all these different like clones and that. So I kind of just play with those more than anything. 'Cause I'm just like, what do I want now, or this or that. So that's always
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah. That's kind of where I got into. It was like I run a Stomp XL. It just has a whole bunch of shit in it, and then I do a lot of stuff just in the computer anymore because I don't know. I it's for me it's more ease of use and trying out ideas for recording than more than anything. But yeah, you were talking about pedal building before. Do you have like I know you said you're talking about kill switch, but are you like looking to build a fuzz or is there some specific things there?
I'll start with noise stuff.
Okay,
Kind of like
cool.
little boxes with springs and screws and things like that. You could shake and make
Hmm.
noise or like play with the springs. Definitely want to play with stuff like that. Then I'd like probably like to get into like puzzles and stuff like that. Probably just like clone somebody else's circuit though to learn and figure it out.
That's what I was talking about somebody else, and they were like, "Nah, they just basically have the step-by-step stuff. You can start exactly like you're saying, and just get up and running, and kind of make it happen like that."
But
All
nowadays,
right.
like Stu Mac and that, you could just order the
Yeah.
DIY pedals or the DIY
For
heads. Like,
yeah.
oh,
Have you ever built a guitar or anything?
I actually, yeah, I bought one of those DIY kits of an Explorer body because I was like, I
Oh,
want an
cool.
Explorer body, but I don't want to spend like 700.
So,
So I built one. It's not bad. It just I gotta still play with like the shimming on it because like just
uh,
getting the action right. It's just not where I'm like happy with it at the moment.
yeah.
But it was fun to build. Anything I've bought and that's had like an issue or that I've kind of just went in and figured it out. I was like,
Hmm.
all right, let's put a new switch in or something like that. Nothing too crazy yet, but just fun to learn.
Yeah. Do you find that I have an explorer question? Do you find like how are those? Do you usually wear like your guitar like mid or lower, or like where do you keep it? And then how do you like? Sometimes with like the Firebirds or maybe like an Explorer, it kind of feels like it's out away from your body a little bit more than neck wise. Is there anything like that with your Explorer?
I haven't really noticed that. I kind of I got it after the V though, so that might have like helped me
Oh
kind
yeah.
of already get comfy with it. I am kind
Hmm.
of like in the mid range. Like I feel like the bottom of my body is like right above my knee, which is pretty high for like bass playing.
Hmm.
Most guys are like a lot lower than that,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
I was like a comfy spot.
So you're thinking like how you can access the fretboard and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, trying to make sure I can play what I gotta play. So I'm
Uh,
not messing anything up.
yeah. Actually, I recently just went and lowered mine to where the point where I'm like, all right, I can go this low, but now I can't actually play the parts anymore. And then like backed off a little bit. I just it just made the whole thing like you connect with the guitar differently, I feel like, and then it made me play different. Our bass player had a Firebird that he found online, and he brought it into practice and let me play it. And I'm like, oh man, just how it hung and like where it was just made me play differently, which I thought was really cool. And it's been a while since something like that came up.
This is when I learned like I had real high action, so like once I like played something with like properly set action, I was like, oh, this is amazing.
I,
Like
I
so
did the
much
same
easier to
thing.
do this.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like you build hand strength like that though, and like when you do go back to something that's actually decent action, you're like you can rip it up if you wanted to. All right, cool. All right, well, I think how about we plug everything one more time and yeah.
All right, so we got Curry show tomorrow. We got Vulture Peaks got a show on Friday down near Reading. We got two shows at Curry on the 22nd and the 24th. Bunch coming up in May. Vulture Peaks right now mixing, getting ready to release a new release.
Very cool. Yeah.
Tower just did the Locked in the Basement sessions, and that's going to be coming out I think June 3rd, sometime early June. With Pubicide. It's split with Pubicide, so that's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah,
real
yeah.
cool. We're
Hmm.
actually gonna do a show at Curry for like the release of the tape, so
Oh,
that'll be a fun
very cool.
time.
I forgot
So yeah.
to ask about the scene up there. Like, you seem obviously well connected. What's your kind of gauge on it, or like just the scene in general in this area?
It's all over the place. There's all different sorts of music happening. Not as many venues at the
Hmm.
moment, which kind of really sucks.
Yeah.
Wilkes Barre itself, like I've heard something about shows at I think the YMCA that are going on, but
Oh,
then
okay.
there's Curry, and like we've been getting hit up like
Oh,
nonstop of people just
I'm
being like,
sure.
hey,
Yeah.
we play here. I know Scranton still got a couple spots, which is awesome.
Hmm.
So definitely just need more, more like
But
places to play.
yeah, but I feel like the talent's definitely around. Like some of these bands are just blowing my mind. Yeah, it's pretty cool. All right.
That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap. So, just want to say thanks to George, aka the Curry Donuts Kid. He's got a lot going on. You can go check out his stuff. Um, what's your handle?
Uh, I think the Curry Donuts
The
kid.
current, it is, yeah, the Curry Donuts Kid. So check him out there and follow all his stuff. And George, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. And thank you all for jumping in and asking questions and sticking with us. We appreciate it. And next week, I believe, might be our drummer. So check in on that one. And George, I will talk to you soon. Thanks so
Thanks
much
for
for
having
jumping in.
me,
Yeah,
man.
man.
Have a good
Cool.
night.
It was awesome. You too.
Same.